or the friend that we were with, like the mutual friend that knew him, said that we should link up, and I didn't take it seriously because I was like, this guy's taku. I didn't like enjoy high school that much. I got picked on a bit, but what kid didn't get picked on, especially like in a post 9/11 world. After I finished my degree, I was really depressed. I think I can't really remember about 15 months of my life in that period because I did get so depressed. Pharrell is a huge inspiration and inspired me so much, and so to have him play that was incredible.
Hi, this is Lauren Engel. I'm here with WAFIA. So I first saw you kind of perform when you did the Boiler Room, but like online, and I was like getting goosebumps the whole time.
No way.
And then afterwards I saw you in MoMA in New York, like live.
You've been there the whole time, shit.
Yeah, man, I've listened to your music like from early on when you had like straight hair.
Oh my gosh, Boiler Room was my first show ever.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. And then I had straight hair because everyone kept comparing me to Lorde with curly hair. And I was like, hey, don't want to be that.
Yeah.
So I just kept straightening my hair.
Damn, how long ago was that? I think that was when I was still like, that was 4 or 5 years.
2014.
Yeah, it's 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Damn. So you're born in Netherlands, right?
Yes, I am.
But your parents, where were they born?
My mom is Syrian and my dad is Iraqi.
Yeah, and it was for, was it their work, their restaurant business that they moved out there, or was it for like? Well,
they left the Middle East just because they felt like the Middle East wasn't where they wanted to raise their kids.
Yeah.
So they moved to the Netherlands, and my dad, actually before my mum and dad got married, they were engaged for like 5 years, and my dad like moved to the Netherlands in this time, and they did long distance engagement.
Yeah.
And essentially like he just like went, bought a restaurant, worked it, built it all up from the ground up, and then once he felt like he was secure financially, that's when he brought my mum over and like.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of restaurant was it?
I think it was like Middle Eastern. My dad is kind of like a hustler. He'll do what he needs to. Always like Mediterranean kind of food. Lots of like Greek stuff as well, even though he's not Greek. But he enjoys making it. Just kind of everything in that vein, in that region.
And how many years did you actually spend there?
In the Netherlands?
Yeah.
I was born there, and then we lived there for maybe like a year, and then my parents just decided to go through all of Europe and sort of see what worked best for them. But then we went back when I was, maybe it's like I was 4 or something like that, and then back again when I was in the 4th grade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was just really sporadic. It was never been, I'd never stayed in anywhere as long, like in one place for very long.
Yeah.
Until like my parents moved to Brisbane, which is when coincidentally I ended high school, and so my parents were like, okay, no more moving.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucked because high school sucked. But yeah.
And were you joining choirs around that time? Was that in Europe, or was that already in?
No, it was in Europe.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
It was this like woman sort of like found me and was like, you should join our church choir. And I'm not Christian, but I was just like, this is a chance to sing, so yes. And I sort of did that, but I was never like there long enough, to like even when we lived in the Netherlands, we would jump from city to city to city.
Yeah.
It's just like not enough consistency in my life.
But then that same person brought you to like the national like television, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a dark past of mine. But yeah, I actually threw a tantrum on stage because I didn't win. Oh. And my mum showed it to my uncle, and my uncle made fun of me for years after that.
What?
Yeah.
But here you are, so whatever. Where do you think you got your creative side from?
I didn't think anyone from my mum's side creative. I think they were all like academics. But my dad, he's super into poetry, and there's like a running joke in the family, either you go into poetry or politics in his family.
Oh.
So, yeah, I think, like, my dad always tells me, I remind him of, like, his great aunt because she was like a very powerful speaker and loved poetry. And
So did her mom help him in the restaurant? Or did she do her own? She did her own thing.
well, she has like a degree in French and English literature. But then when she got married, she just loved to read. And so that's what she loved doing. But obviously you can't make a career out of reading unless you want to teach, and that's not something she wanted to do because I came pretty quickly. And so then she started helping him with the restaurant business, with me, everything. She's just always been present for us growing up, and I really appreciate that. Yeah.
How would you describe yourself back then growing up? Or like high school years?
Oh, invisible.
Yeah?
Yeah, no one like paid any attention to me, which is kind of how I liked it, so I didn't have any issue with that. I didn't like enjoy high school that much. I got picked on a bit, but what kid didn't get picked on, especially in a post 9/11 world.
Oh, true, yeah.
Kids are mean, but it's okay. My sisters thankfully don't have to go through it, you know, like I feel like the generation that I had to deal with were like much harsher, because I would take like hummus wraps and falafel to school, and these kids would be like, what are you eating? That's so weird. But now if my sisters take like hummus wraps to school, they're just like the cool kids that day, and I'm just like, that's not fair.
Wow.
Like I paved the way for that.
But then also like two popular kids in your school saw you like singing,
Yes!
right?
You're outing me. Yeah, they were like these two, like, I guess the equivalent would be like jocks. And they found me in the stairwell and they told my teacher about me, and I was exposed. And then I had to sing the national anthem at school, the Australian national anthem. Oh my god. Every time I went to sing it on stage, the mic would turn off. And I was convinced that someone was trying to sabotage me.
Oh my gosh.
And this happened every time because it was a wireless mic. And so they just wouldn't put fresh batteries in there for me. And it was humiliating. Like, it was bad, but made it through okay, I hope.
But were you good at school?
I don't know. It was like, it kept me busy.
Yeah.
You know, like I like reading. I like learning. I like studying. I think my grades were good. But I just did what I needed to. Like, you know, I didn't go to school for friends. I went to school to study. Like,
What kind of music were your parents playing around the house when you were growing up?
Lots of Middle Eastern stuff, like lots of Middle Eastern like pop. But then also like classical singers, like this artist called Fairuz. And then, but then also like whatever I was into at the time, like Spice Girls, Backstreet Boys.
Oh.
But then,
But did you find that through your friends?
I think just like MTV.
Oh,
and
yeah.
just like television, because I never had friends that were consistent enough to like recommend me music. But yeah, just like through pop culture. But then my mum was really obsessed with like Neo, Mario, like all the Usher, like all the R&B.
Oh wow, so that's where you got the side from.
Yeah, she can get credit for that.
And then you went on to study like biomedicine, right? Was college something that you wanted to do, or did your parents kind of want you to get a degree?
No, I wanted to do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a fence. No, I definitely wanted to do that. I think like going real deep here, my dad was affected by cancer in my last year of high school.
Yeah.
And there'd always been like some sort of like familiar pressure to get into medicine. But then after seeing him go through what he did, I was convinced that I had to do it. Like, but then in my like first year, I realized that I'm not good with blood. Oh. And so that's when I kind of decided maybe like research would be what I would do, or I can't imagine like treating people.
Yeah.
I would want there to be a barrier between me and someone. So I just wanted to research, because then I could do all the reading that I wanted to do and all the studying that I wanted to, you know what I mean? Like if you're researching and like playing around in labs, that's what I wanted to do, I think, at the end. Did
you ever consider studying something creative or music?
No. I didn't. I think, like, because you can learn that or you can just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like learning it would have shaved off years of my life that I could have spent doing it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just, not to take away from anyone that has or does or wants to. I think everyone's path is different. But I just don't think that I necessarily want to learn music. Like, even now, I'm ignorant. I don't really know notes or anything like that. And I'll be the first to admit it. But I know how it makes me feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd rather just use that gut instinct for as long as I can until I feel like I've hit a wall, and then I get to learn. And, you know, like later in my life,
Yeah.
as opposed to doing it all now and then that informing the way I make music,
Mm-hmm.
I want to hold off.
When you were still in college, were you already, like, doing songwriting, like, trying to make songs? Yeah.
Yeah, well, at first it all started with covers. I, like, used to sing my dad's cafe, and with all the money that I made from singing in cafes and weddings, I bought myself a PA system, and then the one that I bought, you can put a USB in there and record the covers and the covers that I was doing, and so then every night I'd come back from those shows, I'd go online and I'd like post them, and then people would be like, oh, do this one next. And that's how I found a lot of music, actually. So people being like, you should sing this song, I think you'd be good at it. And so I would then, the next week, I'd learn that song, I'd put it up online, and that's just how I did it
Yeah.
for a long time.
Were
And
you getting some fan base from that?
Yeah, it was on Tumblr,
Oh.
which I really liked because I could keep my identity a secret, like I could keep my face a secret and everything, because a lot of like kids at that time were doing stuff on YouTube, and I didn't know if like YouTube was for me just because it was so personality and face based.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But like with Tumblr, I could just put an audio post, nothing else, and just a little description, and that was fine. And I really just enjoyed that sort of anonymity that went with Tumblr.
Yeah. But it didn't really click to you that you wanted to do it for like your life, right? Or...
No. I just like, it felt like the most daunting thing I could do was go up to my parents and tell them that I wanted to do music.
Yeah.
Like, especially while I was like in a pre-med degree, and like I thought that I'd had my life figured out and I was going to do this thing, this research thing, and it was going to like make me feel good about what my dad went through and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then having not going there, I thought that it would like destroy them, and I didn't want to hurt them. But I think my parents saw how invested I was. Like, yeah, they were there for it all, and my dad always supported me and drove me out to my gigs, and my mum was always a bit hesitant, and I think I came to understand why they were hesitant, I guess, at first, or particularly my mum. And it's just that every parent wants to make sure that after their child is gone, they can put food on the table.
Yeah.
And historically, musicians and stuff, there's a stereotype that they can't make money, and, you know, that it's a difficult life. And I think my mum just didn't want that for me. My mum wanted security, and that's what any parent, Asian or non-Asian, sees when they're like telling their child, go into law or be a doctor. They just want security. That's all it is. And so I think I just had to work extra hard to prove to my mum that like I could gain that level of security, I guess. But I don't know, even if you become a doctor, like what you do may become obsolete in a couple of years. So there's no security in anything really.
Yeah.
So you may as well just like do what you love. But yeah, I spoke to my dad and I told him that I was gonna do music, and he was so encouraging and took me just was like helped me map out how to break the news to my mum. And helped me like, was like every year was like, you know, you have to stay on top of it. And there was after I finished my degree, I was really depressed. I can't really remember about 15 months of my life in that period, because I did get so depressed and I couldn't leave my bed. And but my dad was there for it all, and just was like, come on, let's go to the studio, like, let's go do this, or let's go do gigs. And he noticed the only thing that was getting me out of bed was music. And I just like saw all my friends and my degree go and move to other places and do stuff, and I was realizing that I wasn't going to do what they're doing anymore was difficult. And yeah, my dad helped me through that. And
wow, that's really amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
As for my mum, she really began to understand it when, like, my song was on the end of this TV show, this big TV show in Australia, and yeah, it was like the series finale, and my song was on the end, and then she went to drive my sisters to school the next morning, and all these mums in the parking lot were talking about the song and how she must be so proud. And she didn't watch the TV show, but she was like, of course I'm proud.
Yeah.
And then she came home and she's like, why didn't you tell me about this? I'm like, oh, I didn't know. She's like, tell me about how all this happened, and I told her, and I told her how much I made from that as well, and she's like, oh, that's really amazing that you can actually make money from this. And then the next month it was a movie, and then so on and so forth. And yeah, I mean, also the fact that I've never, like, thankfully had to ask her for money since being in music, you know, or my parents for money. Not that they're ever really in a financial place to give me that if I needed it, but just to know that I've never really had that conversation with them.
Yeah.
I think puts them at ease. Yeah.
After you graduated, were you still living with them, or were you able to, like, move out and find your own place?
No, because I think, like, well, after I graduated, I was depressed, so that wasn't really, so I think living out of home would have destroyed me. But I still haven't even moved out of home. Because I tour, or I'm away from home 8 months of the year.
Yeah.
I don't want to put that towards rent. So I live at home. My parents are so accommodating. Plus, Brisbane is such a great place to reset. Like, even if I didn't live at home, I would get a place in Brisbane. But even then, what's the point?
Yeah.
You know, like,
I mean, you're barely. Yeah.
They are my reason to reset, and they are good.
How many years after you graduated that you met Taku?
Maybe 2.
Yeah.
I met him in 2014. Or 13? I don't know. I put out a cover of Let Me Love You that week by Mario. And I met him on some basketball courts, and he said we should link up, or the friend that we were with, like the mutual friend that knew him, said that we should link up, and I didn't take it seriously because I was like, this guy's Taku. I don't have any
And you've been
music
following
out
him
there.
for years, or?
Yeah, of course. Like, who doesn't know him? Like 50 Days of Dilla, all of that stuff. Like, he's a legend. And yeah, I didn't really think anything of it.
Yeah. Where was your career at that point? Were you still just putting on Tumblr, or did you go to, like, other platforms by then already? SoundCloud, right?
SoundCloud. SoundCloud is where I kind of went to after that. I had just released a cover, like I said, Mario's Let Me Love You. And it was doing well on the internet, and that's kind of how I ended up with, like, ended up with my management, ended up with my label and everything. But yeah, he said that we should link, and I didn't take it seriously, and then I went online that day, and he'd messaged me on Twitter.
On all the platforms.
Yeah, being like, let's work. And then straight away sent me his number, and we've been texting ever since.
Did you realize from the onset that you'd have such a close collaboration between you two?
No.
Yeah.
I thought it was so weird that he had any sort of affinity towards me. I couldn't figure out why. And it wasn't until, like, years after I said to him, why me? You have literally access to anyone on the internet. Why would you want to work with me? And then he said, you reminded me of my sister.
Oh.
And that, like, totally explains, like, why our bond is so, like, family-centric, you know?
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful reason to want to work with someone. And
yeah.
I mean, ever since then, he's been my big brother, and he's always looked out for me. And even when we toured for a while, he's just always been present and accommodating.
Did you see, like, how quickly your career changed when that happened?
Of course.
Yeah.
He's a big part of why I can be here talking to you today. Like, he produced my first, like, solo song, Heartburn, and like him having his name attached, and then just producing the song the way he did was like such an honor in itself, but also just like made my music reach more people. And he was like, he truly was at that point like a fan that just wanted to help me, and I'll never forget that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it actually difficult going from like just doing covers to being in sessions and like songwriting?
No, it felt pretty normal. Like, I was writing by myself for a while. I wrote my first EP pretty much by myself, except for 2 songs. And then the first person I ever co-wrote with was actually Vancouver Sleep Clinic, who I released a song with called Fading Through. But that was like, that was different, because even though he lived a block away from me, we did it over the internet.
Oh my gosh.
Because I don't leave my house for no one. and then same with Heartburn. I'd met this guy called Ben, and I told him about the situation that I had gone through, and then a couple of days later that he sends me this voice memo of him in the car being like, I have this idea, this melody, and starts humming it. And I was like, oh, what about this and what about that? And so we kind of wrote it over voice iMessage and voice memos. But yeah, it wasn't until like I wrote a song. Actually, I hadn't written in the room with anyone until I came to LA.
Oh wow.
I'm realizing now.
Was that easy for you?
The people I was with were so nice. So, and we actually ended up writing a song on my new EP called Breathe. With this guy called Blaze and this guy called Brenton. And yeah, it was just fun. Like, it just was no pressure.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just realizing and putting that all together now.
At what point did you realize that you wanted to make the music more and more personal about like Syrian refugees and have more like themes in your music?
I guess there wasn't like an on switch for that. It just like when it happened pretty naturally, sorry. And then it happened like I wrote the song like for Bodies, for example, with the co-writer that I wrote Heartburn with. Like at that point I'd known him three-ish years, just over 3 years. So it made sense. Like he already knew what I was going through at home, and he knew my family, and you know, we'd spoken about the Syrian refugee crisis at length prior to that. So it just made sense that the person that I would write that song with is the person that had kind of been privy to that information for the longest. Yeah, I don't think I could have written that song with anyone else, you know? Like, it was just the right place, right time, and right person.
Is that kind of like a goal of yours, to have more of those sort of themes in your music and share that?
I guess I'm not like, I don't go into a session going, today I'm going to write this song, or today I'm going to do this. Like, I always just approach every day with like how I'm feeling, or like what's affected me that day, and I guess, yeah, it's not something that I'm going out of my way to really do. It's just like, it either happens that day when I'm writing it or not. Otherwise, I don't know how to sit there and mull over it and create a song before it exists.
What was your reaction when you heard Pharrell play your music?
That was literally the day of the MoMA PS1 show.
Oh, what was it?
Like, yeah, it was like a couple of moments before I went on stage.
So that day was just a crazy day for you. Like, everything came together.
Like my first time in New York, my first like time playing Heartburn. No, I think I played it at, I don't know if I played it at the Boiler Room set. Maybe. I don't remember.
I think, maybe just the MoMA, from what I remember. Yeah.
And that was insane, because I remember being first, like, well, the whole Pharrell thing was insane. That was very, like, Pharrell's a huge inspiration and inspired me so much. And so to have him play that was, incredible. But then to, like, go on stage, like, moments after, I met my manager for the first time that day. We'd been working online for a year. And we only met that day in person because he's from New York.
Yeah.
And that was really awesome. I remember him putting in my in-ear monitors in the back of my pants or skirt or whatever I was wearing that day, and him doing it like the special way that he's taught me ever since.
Yeah.
But then like checking my phone and being like, Pharrell just played my song on his phone.
Oh my god.
And we lost our minds for a minute, and then I literally had to run on stage, and then I remember being so happy, but then that happiness from the Pharrell thing was quickly replaced by happiness to see people in the front row singing Heartburn.
Yeah.
I
remember.
I was like, how do you know this song? It's been out for 2 minutes, or 2 days
Yeah.
at this point. What is going on? And I'd never experienced anything like that because I'd only ever done really covers up until that point. And so to hear people sing my lyrics back to me, it still blows me away.
Yeah.
Especially when something has just been released.
And then for like your album, what was the decision to like record in such an isolate place?
It's just, I was given the opportunity to work in that studio. It's a studio owned by Gautier. It was so inspiring to be in. And the opportunity came up, so I took it. It wasn't like something that I planned out or anything like that again. It was just like, I was so lucky to have known the right people at the right time and so giving to allow me the opportunity to write in that space where so many great songs had been written before.
Yeah. How would you say your music has changed since the early songs you made?
I think I'm definitely more open to collaboration, and the way that I approach music is different. I write in first person now, which I never did before. Heartburn was the first song I ever wrote in first person.
Why is that?
I think I always wanted to distance myself from how I felt. I was kind of like, and I liked metaphors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like, I just wanted to distance myself from, I didn't feel like my feelings were legitimate. So if I gave them to a fictional character in a song, then maybe they'd be legitimate.
Yeah.
So I like that I've grown into that though. And you can kind of hear that in my music as well.
Yeah.
So, and I think I used to listen to a lot of folk music. And a lot of songwriters, and it was always metaphor driven and like Bon Iver and stuff like that. And so, I think I grew out of it.
How do you say you've grown as a person since when you started?
I think I've like learnt that I don't know all the answers, and that like there are people on my team that are around there for a reason, because they can teach me things that I didn't know I needed to know, and trusting them, but also learning to not show my music to just whoever, especially when it's not finished.
Okay,
and taking advice carefully. Like, you don't just take advice from anyone. You got to make sure words have power, and so you got to make sure you know who you're taking that power from.
What does success look like to you?
Success looks like me bringing my mama with me on the road. Yeah.
What does love mean to you?
Unquestionable, like, I don't know. I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah. Last question. What do you want to be remembered for?
I hope I make everyone feel warm, or like I want to be remembered for how I made people feel, not for what I said, but how I made people feel in the moment.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. Thank you so much.
No, thank
this is awesome.
Thank you for the chat.